short. And I'm trying to do time management, right? And I want to make sure that we're all prepared and ready for the Unit 1 exam. Y'all would rather me do that. Y'all can always introduce yourselves on another class day. Maybe Mr. Whitehead might go that way. We never know. So, Unit 1 is over the movie and chapters 1 and 2, right? And Unit 1 exam is going to be Wednesday. First Unit 1 exam. I don't remember how much it's worth, probably 5 or 10%, I don't know, right? Y'all have already studied that syllabus.
5%.
5%, right? I know you can't probably be the, I'll pace. I like to pace, so you're going to text me back and forth. But questions about the skills lab, that first 4 weeks you're going to be doing skills lab. You won't be going into the clinical sites, right? Because we sort of got to let y'all
know what we're doing.
Know what you're doing, right? So, Miss Dutton posted it. Posted the skills lab on Blackboard. Did y'all see that?
Yeah.
Because y'all check it every morning and when you wake up before you go to bed at night. See, that's how you do things. Y'all got a Facebook. And what is your name?
Marisa.
Marisa, someone's here is going to be able to figure out how to get that on your Facebook as a YouTube. Right? One of you's got a smart kid.
Yeah.
You're going to help make that happen for them. Because you help one, you help all, and you stay together, you graduate together, right? That's what I say. I say everybody can make it. So let's talk about the movie. Florence Nightingale, the movie. And I will post this where I will put my PowerPoints and until I know further. Is I will put it, I think we have a discussion in the dashboard. I believe in the left-hand corner, but before we dismiss today, I will check that and you guys will know where this is posted. But let's talk about the Florence Nightingale movie. It was long and, sometimes movies, they change things around a little bit to make them a little more interesting, right? And I want to share some things that are as close as true as I can find them. Actually, she was born in Florence, Italy. In the movie it said it inferred that she was born in England, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
But I did after I watched the movie, because I watched it before I composed my questions, I said, man, that doesn't, I know that sounds good. She's born, because it said England, but I did a little search, went on to Yahoo and started looking at different sites, and they said, of course, then that would make sense. Florence, she was born in Florence, Italy. That's how she got her first name. In the movie, it says she got her calling, and it said a couple times, at age 17. Her calling from God to serve mankind. In your textbook, because I read your textbook, right? I think the textbook said 24, reference 24, but for test purposes, you guys are going to remember age 17.
Oh, okay.
Now, in the movie, as she's riding off with Richard, and did you notice even in her feverish state, she calls out for Richard, and there's that John Sutherland or whatever his name was, the doctor. But she calls out for Richard, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
How our delirious minds work. The one that had waited so long, and then she wouldn't marry him. But anyway, in the ride, and she was riding with Richard, right? And she cuts off from the ride and goes to see about the woman that had injured herself.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman had a severe burn to her arm, didn't she?
Mm-hmm.
And how did she treat it?
Butter.
There you go. So she before she even went to that Kaiserworth, she started treating. She started doing as a nurse. She was functioning as a nurse. And I don't know if y'all caught that. But you know, when I watch the movie second time, it really does help me instill that I am correct about this, because I also did research on her position, her post, her first post. Did you realize that the relative that was sitting on the committee that was going to select her to be that superintendent, we do realize she didn't get selected there. I don't know if y'all caught that. Y'all thought she did get selected. Because that was called a different name, wasn't it? I mean, if you think back, it was. I didn't catch it until I watched it this time with you guys. And I said, oh, I'm right, because I went online and I wanted to see what was her first post. And her first post was the Institute for the Care of Sick, Gentle Women. And it actually said it under, in a quiet tone, because you think men, you know, you thought gentlemen, but it's gentle women. I did actually catch it this time listening real carefully. But y'all haven't had the advantage of watching it twice. I have now had this chance. But also I had gone online and researched. Superintendent at the Institute for the Care of Sick, Gentle Women. She did not get that initial post. I forget the name of that. And why didn't she is because of her cousin. See, there were some angry feelings there. So she didn't get it, but she did finally get it. But what she did do is she instituted her concepts, the mechanical list for food delivery, the bedside bells, the hot water for the patient's room. She never married because she thought it would interfere with her work. She never did ever get married, and that's a truism. Though she might have had some affair with that Sidney Herbert, because I read about that, and that's not in the movie. But I went on, you know, like I said, I read, because he had just newly gotten married. They don't talk too much about him, but see, this is where I'm reading other sources. I said, oh, see, didn't talk about him too much. But the Richard guy, he just had to go on about his way and get married. And then y'all saw at the very end where Queen Victoria awarded her and you saw it was a red cross, it was a cross, right? Beautiful award. So that's what Queen Victoria awarded her. The lady with the lamp, right? The lady with the lamp. Now that's the content for the movie in essence. In essence, I've covered what you would see on the test. Just reiterate it. Chapter 1, you guys read chapter 1 too, hopefully. And I want y'all to know how, because to me, this is very complex, this blueprint that goes into these objectives. And how do you think that we're to because it doesn't say about the objectives, does it? It doesn't divide it out like that. It's left for the reader to figure it out. So I did my best at figuring out how to relate these objectives. And that's how I do it. I studied the book and I found where particular objectives, and I won't call them out, you'll see them, right? See them at the top. So if you had your blueprint, you'd see, oh, objective number 3, right? Has this many questions. See how I'm going to do that? I can't say that all instructors will do it this way, but I just dissect. My mind's like a steel trap, and I try to stay on course here. So we're looking at historical nursing images, chapter 1, the angel of mercy. There was a time, if you read in your textbook, talked about nursing religious orders. They weren't always such friendly companions. Not always. There's been a big rift. Handmaiden. I have to say, guys, that we still see the handmaiden relationship. Even as far as when I was working, I would always, when the doctor would come into the unit, it'd be 2 or 3 in the morning. We've been on doing these rounds and stuff, and I'd go, you could tell they're tired, right? So I just go back in the back and get them some coffee while they're doing their notes, right? or one time I know we had this one doctor, and he was tired, and he hadn't even had time to eat, and so I went, found food for him, brought it up to the unit, see, hadn't ate. But I mean, it was this, you know, kindness thing, but you could sort of allude that to like a little handmaiden, you know, your anticipation of a doctor's, or you're trying to please that doctor. You know, but we see now more collaborative engagement. The doctor asks your opinion if he trusts you. If you've developed that rapport, he'll ask you if you see. Okay, so prior to Nightingale, what we saw it, in a way that showing that movie up front first, it made this chapter just go. It just made sense, didn't it? Dirty and sanitary, and they only provided care for the poor, because the rich had care in their homes. And again, in your chapter, in your textbook, talks about what Nightingale's major contributions were. She established nursing as a distinct profession. You know, introducing a concept of educating nurses. You know, she went to Kaiserworth, but she saw within the importance of education for nurses to be able to understand how to care and treat and dress wounds, or the concept of hygiene. She sought and she won the reform of how care in a hospital was delivered. The control of spread of disease. One can't forget what she did when she uncovered and pulled off those boards, right? Oh, it was so awesome the way that the movie fits with the chapter. So in essence, we talk about the importance of a clean environment. The clean environment equates to a decreased rate of the mortality inside the hospital. And the movie emphasized that the soldiers, there was more death of the soldiers in the hospital than out on the battlefield. That's pretty bad. That is bad. They decreased length of stay because why? They got better. Decrease the rate of what they call nosocomial infection. And you guys just starting your first day, nosocomial infection, you'll hear that lots, you know, for the next 2 years. Infection associated with being in a hospital. Healthcare associated infection, i.e. And of course, she had those major reforms with the military. The battle axe. Battle axe Nurse Davis also, if you guys have ever seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, right? Nurse Ratched. Nurse Ratched, she's sort of similar to the Nurse Davis in that movie, right? Naughty nurse, well, you know, I had to be careful because I tell you, as I was creating my PowerPoints, you wouldn't believe, I was trying to I like to put images because it sticks in y'all's heads, right? I got this virus, it just wiped my laptop out. I mean, it was shocking. And then in 2 seconds, my whole laptop everything was gone. I definitely picked the wrong picture. My son had to reload, and fortunately I hadn't lost all my stuff from my flash drive. So I was really cautious and scared, you know, when I said, man, I'm getting to where I got to do this naughty nurse picture again. I said, I got to be careful what I pick. But Hot Lips Houlihan maybe comes to mind in terms of naughty nurse that's appropriate to be able to put. I just want to go anywhere else, right? The military image. The military has done more to shape that professional image of the nurse than any other entity. If we go back and think about how Nightingale had to work hard to get the trust of the military that she did. And they've seemed like they go hand in hand, right? Hand in hand. And then you see some of these other nurses that have come forward as a result of what she paved the way. You got Clara Barton, American Red Cross. Harriet Tubman, in a way, she helped in the during the Civil War. She had her, but she wasn't necessarily called a nurse, but she did her own part to help us, with the concept of freedom. Freedom leads to healthier situations. And Dorothea Dix. So we do have other people besides Florence Nightingale that has done their part in terms of becoming nurses and helping our profession. Define what it is to be a nurse. Why should we apply definition? Well, we have many nursing organizations, and they have pushed to have a definition defining what a nurse is. And what this does is this helps the public to know what does a nurse, what's the value of a nurse, and what are the roles of a nurse. What particularly do we do that define ourselves as nurses? Because all you's going to be nurses, right? You're not going to let one of you falter because you got that Facebook, and everybody better know how to log into that Facebook. Everybody get educated on Facebook, I guess. Especially for y'all's site, right?
Are you going to join it?
No, don't put me in there because sometimes it's best not to have the instructor. Don't invite the instructors because sometimes y'all have to have your decompression. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So see, that's your outlet too. And then also help students and practicing nurses understand what's expected of them within those roles of nursing. So basically we define nursing so that we can differentiate nursing activities from other health professions. That's what's key. We want to differentiate from other health care professions. So in caring for our patients, nurses use clinical judgment. And what was it? I wrote it down. See, I was taking more notes. I said, man, what did the guy say? Common sense. Sure, common sense in the movie. I said, and common sense, that's really what critical thinking is. The simple common sense. Forget which person said that one, but it's one of them guys in the movie. But clinical judgment, common sense, of your observing, comparing, contrasting, and evaluating, critical thinking, and problem solving. Those are things that we'll do. Those are key elements that we must all do as nurses to provide the most competent and quality care to our patients and patients' families. And a table here, and if you'll look on page 13, you can see the many more roles, but here's just some examples. The RN being direct care provider, and they address the physical, emotional, social, spiritual needs, as you see in the movie. How, do you know just the essence of holding someone's hand and you want to do it? I cannot even count how many times, and it's instinctual, that you want to grab and hold someone's hand as they're getting an endotracheal tube being inserted, or they're getting a Swan-Ganz inserted, or they're getting an arterial line or central line, or they're going down, they're getting ready to stop breathing, and the doctors have to call code, but you have that essence of wanting to grab their hand and say, I'm here. Or they're getting ready to die, and they don't want to die alone, you see. Because I am 20-plus year MICU nurse, medical intensive care nurse. And it's just something that you do. You do. The direct care provider, they assess the patients, they give medications, they do patient teaching, and of course the direct care. Yes, as a master prepared nurse, I have given many a bath. Pericare. Sat and fed my patients. There's no greater honor. I don't care if I had a PhD, if a doctorate. I'm a doctorate, but I'd be there willing to sit and feed my patient. And you guys will too. Just because you got the higher degree doesn't mean nothing. It does not mean nothing. And that movie just demonstrates, sure emphasized it. Here she was from Wealth and she was there, right? It makes sense. You have an RN that may become a manager. They coordinate and manage activities on members of the team. That might be like a charge nurse hospital unit. But there again, there may be times where that charge nurse has to do direct patient care. And they will, because it's a team effort, right? It's what's required to take care. They're all our patients. If a light goes off and that's not your assigned patient, of course you're going to go answer. You see what I'm saying? Because they're all our patients. That's the way it is. Case manager. The case manager, if you're in that role, coordinating the care delivered to the client. You might be, for instance, a coordinator of services for clients with tuberculosis. Or you could be any kind of coordinator. In a hospital, you could be some sort of coordinator that would arrange some additional care, whatever. Formal educational paths. There's different paths to go. You guys may not be familiar, but one time the Baptist, and they still do, but theirs does lead to a degree program now. But years ago, they had diploma. Had the diploma degree. It was a 3-year degree at the Baptist Health Systems. And subsequently, I think they partnered with Phoenix, University of Phoenix, to get an associate degree. Associate degrees, you typically see them in community colleges. The diploma, I will say, it's very strong clinical focus. Because why? They're trying to make their students into becoming working at their hospital, but not as much as that used to be, because I find that once now since of course they partnered with University of Phoenix, it becomes what it's an associate degree, but it's being held out of the Baptist system. And then of course the baccalaureate, that's what you guys are in. You have a master's entry program, and it's typically after you've gotten that BSN, but not always. Sometimes a master's program will take an associate degree if you had, pretty high scores, and they'll go associate to MSN. Sometimes you can get into that program. It's an intense program, but you can do it. And then you have a terminal doctorate degree. And for me, now I have a master's, and my focus was home health and community. And I decided that's good enough to teach in a university, to have a master's. And I said, I want to spread. I want to extend myself, because I may want to teach in an educational university. That doesn't even have a nursing degree program, see? So I thought smart, and I did a degree that can be it's an equal footing. I don't have a nurse practitioner degree. I don't have that. I don't need it. This is good enough for me. Some of you guys, after you get your BSN, you're going to go for nurse practitioner. And I say, good, go for it. Because I think that we're very short on family practice positions, and there's some states where they can actually hang their shingle. See, that's a good thing. Thank you. Arkansas is one state where a nurse practitioner can actually hang their own shingle and operate independently. We need this. There's such a shortage of healthcare workers. Informal educational paths. Now keep in mind that socialization, that's an informal educational path that occurs as you move into your profession, the ways of knowing, the ways of learning. You learn in the didactic. This is called didactic, by the way. What I'm doing, I'm delivering this lecture to you, and y'all are sitting there listening. So far, nobody's gone to sleep, so that's good. All right? So I'm doing okay. Then Bender, and you'll read that in your book, talks about a model, and they talk about how you can develop clinical wisdom and competence. Stage 1, novice. You're sort of learning the ropes. Usually begins at the onset of education. you know? You're novice. Then you have what? The beginner. Oh, advanced beginner. New graduate. I say novice and then beginner, but they say advanced beginner. That's new graduate. Competence after a few years practice. Proficient. Proficient once you've had several years, they might make you be the resource nurse. Several years working in the same area. Expert. Expert, you're able to see what needs to be done and how to do it. You can go with your gut feeling. Like me, you know, I'm talking about the patient that's in the ICU, and what goes on is with the patient that's got they come in and they've got a severe problem with their left ventricle. Their left ventricle, they're going to be the ones that's going to be, they can go in and out of flash pulmonary edema. I envision, as I'm telling you this, I'm looking at the guy that I could walk down the hallway and I can hear the crackles. That guy needs some Lasix. See, if we don't get that Lasix, we're going to have to do more paperwork. See, my mind said, let's fix it before it happens. Let's take care, let's help this patient before it happens. And then, so you know, you can, as you're walking down, you can actually know what patient you need to see first and do something. Don't wait for it to happen and then, you know, the code is not where we want to go to. We want to be proactive. Just like I was proactive, what did I do? That orientation day I gave you your blueprint, didn't I? I was being proactive. Now some of you, I didn't give you a homework assignment, did I? It's up to y'all to do whatever you want to do. Some of you were proactive and you said, man, I better get that book and read it. Some of you didn't. You know, but it was up to you. I mean, that's what adult education, adult learning is all about. But mostly adult learners, they're coming here for a purpose and goals, and they want to know what it is I need and get it done, and so I can move on to my next career or profession. Important nursing organizations. These are things that you might want to consider when you graduate to become members of. ANA, NLN, and this, of course, this school's got an NLN accreditation. Dr. Frazier, she actually is a NLN site reviewer. So she's high up there in relation to that. And you guys, as you get more engaged with your nursing and your nursing school, you'll get more information about these professional organizations. National Nursing Student Organization or Association, Wayland has one. Mr. Whitehead, you're going to have him this afternoon. You've already met him once at the orientation, but he's actually one of the faculty sponsors. Ms. Alcazay, which you haven't met, and I'm not sure, she should be here this week or next week. She's still she has a family in Germany and she went to visit. She should be back though. And then they have this sponsor, Sigma Theta Tau. I can hardly pronounce it, but I'm not a member because I never had gold tassels. I was just an average there. There's certain GPAs join that society, and what they do, they foster scholarship and advancement and education and research. So you'll hear about these entities and organizations that you can become part of, or after you graduate, you might want to in your professional credentials to become part of. AACN, if you're a critical care nurse, that's a natural professional organization to be a member of. So where do we work? Where do we work? We work in hospitals, we work in ambulatory care, and by the way, those things are popping up all the time, right? More and more. Extended care facilities, skilled care. The person that's discharged from the hospital not yet well enough to go home. We have custodian care, nursing home, i.e. We have these facilities, assisted